They always said I was too sensitive, but no one ever asked why I cried so easily. Coming back to the house felt like walking into a memory I never got to rewrite. I thought I knew my family, until I opened the drawer that was never meant for me. "You're too sensitive." It's the sentence they stitched into my spine. Not "I love you." Not "we're proud of you." Just that. Every time I cried, flinched, hesitated, or asked why no one ever hugged me without being told to. My name is Lena. I'm 28 years old, and I've spent most of my life wondering if I was broken or just born too soft for the family I landed in. My family doesn't throw things. They don't scream or slam doors. They weaponize quiet, shrug off pain like it's an overreaction. Pretend affection is earned, not given. My older sister Claire is the one who always had it together. Elegant, distant, quick to judge and slow to comfort. She once told me crying in public was a form of manipulation. My brother Ryan was the golden boy, funny, loud, charming. He could break something, smile, and somehow I'd be the one punished for being difficult when I pointed it out. Our mother Ellen passed away 2 months ago. It was sudden. A stroke. No warning, no time to say goodbye. And now I'm here. Back in the house I spent most of my childhood trying to disappear inside. They asked me to come help sort things. I said yes. Not for them, but because I needed to know if I made it all up. If I really was the problem. Ryan picked me up from the station, talking the whole ride like nothing had ever happened. Claire opened the door and barely looked up from her phone. "You still overthink everything?" she asked, with a smirk that didn't even pretend to be warm. "You still pretend not to?" I answered. Flat. Automatic. Dad barely spoke, just nodded and went back to staring out the window like a man who'd run out of opinions years ago. They put me in my old room. Same soft pink walls, same scuffed dresser, same closet that still locks from the inside. I used to sit in there when I cried. Mom didn't ask why I was crying. She asked who I was trying to manipulate. She said I'd grow out of it. But I never did. I told them I'd stay 2 nights. Help with the will, pack some boxes, pretend to be okay. But I should have known better. Because this house is built on things we were never supposed to feel. And sometimes, when a place holds enough silence, it starts to speak. The thing about coming back to a place like this is you almost forget how loud silence can be. No one's yelling. No one's cruel outright. But everything, every drawer, every photo frame, every sigh, feels like a reminder of where you didn't belong. We started sorting the house the next morning. Claire wore heels to clean. Ryan made a Spotify playlist like we were prepping for a beach trip instead of dividing up what was left of our childhood. "We should sell most of this," Claire said, flipping through albums like receipts. "It's all outdated, useless." Dad didn't argue. He just nodded, staring at a chipped coffee mug he'd kept for 30 years without ever using it. My job was the upstairs bedrooms. Not sentimental enough for Ryan. Not important enough for Claire. Just quiet enough for me. My mother's room was exactly how I remembered it. Lavender sachets, folded sheets that had never been slept on, a vanity full of brushes, all clean. Everything perfect, untouched, staged. It was strange how cold the room felt, as if no one had ever really lived in it, just maintained it. I opened drawers, sorting jewelry from junk, receipts, lipsticks, a faded Bible with a ribbon tucked between pages about judgment. Then I found it, a drawer I remembered being locked my whole life. The one Mom would snap shut if you got too close. The one she kept the key for in her purse. Except this time, it wasn't locked. I pulled it open slowly, expecting more perfume bottles. maybe a few private letters. What I found was not perfume, not letters, not meant for me. It was a stack of notebooks, neatly organized, dated by hand, some with floral covers, others plain black, and one with a torn spine and the faintest trace of red ink bleeding through the edges. My heart started to race, the kind of rhythm you can't fake, the kind that says, "You're not supposed to be holding this." I sat on the edge of her bed, opened the first one, and the first sentence I read wasn't a memory. It wasn't a prayer. Lena cried again today. For nothing, as usual. I worry what kind of woman she'll become. I stopped breathing for a second. Then I turned the page. There were more. Ryan is doing well in school. Claire helped me with the garden. Lena refused to come out of her room again. I feel guilty for thinking it, but I wish I hadn't pushed for a third child. She needs too much, all the time. It's like raising grief. That's when I realized these weren't journals. They were records. And I was the case. I didn't move for a long time. Just sat there, staring at those pages. Every entry had the same cold rhythm, like I was being studied, like I was observed, not loved. But then I saw it. At the bottom of the stack, beneath a blue hardcover labeled Claire, age 10-13, and a small one with Ryan's name barely scribbled on the side, was a red notebook, tattered, thicker than the rest. My name was on the front, block letters, all caps. Lena, just 5 letters. But suddenly they didn't feel like mine anymore. They felt like a label someone else had given me, like something I'd been trying to prove wrong my entire life, without even knowing it. I told myself I'd stop reading. Didn't. I couldn't. It was like watching a car crash I'd been in as a child, and finally seeing the footage for the first time. Each notebook was a fresh cut. Each page another moment where they could have loved me, but chose to record me instead. I found a smaller green one labeled simply, Observations, Lena. Inside were single-line entries. No emotion, just documentation. Lena refused to eat meat again, claimed it made her sad, started crying when Ryan joked she was adopted, said nothing to him, shut down instead. Didn't look at me when I praised her, looked afraid. Afraid. She wrote that I looked afraid, and just moved on. No follow-up, no reflection, just logged. I flipped the page. There were comments, in my father's handwriting too. Shorter, colder, always dated and signed like a company memo. I've stopped trying to discipline her. She takes everything personally, even tone. She asked if I loved her. I changed the subject. Didn't feel like lying. Can't wait until she's 18. That one broke me in half, because I remember the moment. I remember asking. It was after school. I was 12. He was watching TV. I had just brought home a drawing, a self-portrait. I'd colored my eyes too blue, my smile too wide. I asked, "Do you love me?" He didn't answer. Now I know why. There was one final notebook, cream-colored, lined in gold, Claire's handwriting. Smaller, sharper, filled with judgment she never even bothered to hide. Lena cried again. Honestly, it's exhausting. Mom says she might have something wrong. I think she's just soft. I hope she moves far away when she's older. I can't breathe when she's around. I stared at that last line for a long time. Because that's the thing about reading someone's honest thoughts. Once you know the truth, you can't unfeel it. I walked into the kitchen holding the notebooks like they were burning. Ryan was sitting at the table with coffee. Claire had her phone in one hand, a fork in the other. Dad was on the couch. Silent as usual. I dropped the stack on the table. The sound echoed. "What is this?" Claire asked, annoyed. "Your words," I said. Yours. Mom's. Dad's. She blinked. Didn't touch them. You read them? Ryan said, like I had crossed the line. They were about me, I said, calm, clear, unshakable. So yeah, I read them. Every page. Claire sighed, rolled her eyes. God, Lena, you're almost 30. You're still getting upset over what Mom wrote decades ago? She wasn't just writing, I snapped. She was diagnosing me, documenting me, destroying me in ink while pretending to be my mother. Ryan laughed under his breath. Here, we go. I turned to Dad. You wrote too. You said you didn't want to lie when I asked if you loved me. He looked away. That was a hard day. For you? Or for me? No answer. Claire finally opened one of the journals. Read a line. Closed. Mom was struggling. You know she wasn't perfect. Why do you always make everything about you? That's when it hit me. I didn't come here to ask for an apology. I didn't need them to cry or beg or suddenly realize what they did. I just needed to see it for myself, to hold it, read it, survive it. And I did. So I stood up, pushed the stack of notebooks toward them. You can keep them. They belong with you. Claire raised an eyebrow. You're leaving? I left a long time ago. You're just noticing. I packed in 20 minutes. Dad never stood up. Ryan said nothing. Claire watched me from the hallway like I was a ghost who finally remembered she was dead. I walked out with nothing but my keys, my phone, and my voice. For the first time, it was mine. I pulled into the driveway just before dusk. I'd called him from the road, said I was coming back early. His voice was quiet, but warm. Want me to wait up? You always do, I said. The porch light was already on. He never forgets. Like he needs the house to look like it's waiting for me. I stepped out of the car, journal still in my bag. Red cover. Not heavy anymore. As I walked up the steps, the door creaked open before I touched the handle. He was standing there. Soft smile. Wearing the hoodie I always steal. Behind him, the dog was spinning in slow circles, tail wagging like it hadn't stopped since I left. Hey, you, he said. Hey, I breathed. He opened his arms and I folded right into them. No questions, no judgment, no notebooks, just warmth. Inside, the lights were dim. My favorite tea was already steeping. There was music playing, something acoustic and low and just a little sad. He knows I like sad songs. Not because I'm sad, but because they understand. I sat down on the couch, and the dog jumped up beside me, curling into my hip like she'd been guarding the space. He knelt in front of me. How was it? Brutal, I said, but good. Did you keep anything? One journal, just to remind me. Just because you weren't loved the way you needed to be, doesn't mean you'll never be loved the way you deserve.
If you made it to the end of this story, you felt what Lena felt. And if you've ever been called too sensitive, too much, too quiet, too broken, then this one was for you. Comment chosen love heals, so I know you made it all the way here. With Lena, leave a heart emoji too. If you know what it's like to rebuild yourself from someone else's damage. And if this story gave you even a moment of peace, subscribe, like, share it with someone who still thinks they're hard to love. Here, at Drama Chronicles, we speak the truths our families never gave us permission to say. Until the next confession, stay soft, stay strong, stay you.